So I made a short a month ago talking about if you're uberly smart in Marvel Comics, you always ended up being a piece of, well, excuse my French, a piece of shit. Uh, and I listed off the characters: Reed Richards, Professor X, Tony Stark, Charles Xavier, Namor, Doctor Doom. I just wanted to go a little further into that because I don't feel like I gave enough examples to give my reasoning to why. And you know, now I do want to do that because I want to expand on that. So I'm gonna start off with Reed Richards. Now Reed Richards is a terrible, terrible human in the Marvel Comics, in the Marvel Universe. I'm just gonna start off by saying he sided with Tony Stark in Civil War and left his family to, no, he didn't leave his family, but Sue Storm, his wife, took his kids and said, "Hey, if you're going to continue following Tony, we're leaving, and we're giving you a choice to come with us." He's like, "Nah, I'm going to do my own thing." Like, dog. And the Maker is one of his versions. He is the ultimate version of Reed Richards. I can't even list off the amount of stuff he did, because I can't really remember it, but I know he did some crazy stuff. Oh, he kidnapped the zombie version of the Fantastic Four, and was running experiments on them. That's just one of the things he did, as well as just be a terrible... I can't even... I know it sounds like I can't think of a lot of examples, but there's a lot of examples. Oh, and... yeah. So moving on to Hank Pym. The obvious one is he hit his wife. Because she was trying to talk him out of making a robot to get him back into the Avengers. He slapped her in the face. He's one of the main reasons Ultron exists. Or I think he is the person that made Ultron in the comics, not Tony Stark. He became Yellow Jacket and became an emotionally manipulative jerkbag who didn't know how to take no for an answer. Now, let's get into Tony Stark. Now, if you watched the short, I said Tony Stark from Marvel Comics is not Tony Stark from the MCU. And there is a huge reason for that. Tony Stark from the MCU is a good guy. Tony Stark from the comics is not. Tony Stark from the comics was a terrible, terrible human. I'm just going to go off one run. And that is not Ultimate Iron Man, but what is it? Superior Iron Man. I'm going to go off one run to tell you why he's a terrible human. So there was a comic run called, I think, Nexus, where heroes and villains had their personalities switched. The villains, which had their personality switched, came over to the device to switch it back. And Tony Stark decided not to do that. Evil Tony Stark decided not to do that. He decided to stay bad. And you could say, oh, well, he was inversed. That's why he's a terrible human. I'm going to keep getting into it. The man made an app to cure diseases and make people better. But he charged out the wazoo for it, like $100 a day to keep the subscription going. And if the subscription didn't keep going, it'd be like you're addicted to crack and someone took it away from you. No, that's insanely terrible. Oh, and by the way, when Daredevil confronted him about this, you know what he did? He gave him his sight back and pretty much said, "Hey, Matt, this is what you... come on." Like, do you not understand how terrible that is? To give someone's sight back as a way to get out of your bad actions? That's wild. And let's not even get to the Superhero Registration Act. He made a clone of Thor that killed Giant Man. Yeah, he is the reason a character called Giant Man isn't in comics anymore, because the clone of Thor killed him. He's a main benefactor in why Ultron exists. Like, there is so much BS Tony Stark has done in the comics that doesn't even touch the surface of what I have said. Professor X is a terrible human. He has been attracted to his students. He sent a... So, in one of the X-Men's first missions, Charles Xavier, they got captured. You know what Charles did? Instead of, sending actual heroes, like, to go get these teenagers with powers. You know what he did? He made a secret task force with Scott... what's Scott's last... Cyclops' brother. And the entire team died besides Cyclops' brother. Cyclops' brother got captured. And Professor X never told Cyclops about this, as well as faking his own death in the X-Men 97 show. Charles Xavier has been attracted to Jean Grey. He has emotionally manipulated multiple of his students, and pretty much the entire reason the X-Men exist is a terrible thing, because they are teenagers. They are children and teenagers, and Charles makes them into children soldiers. Charles Xavier is not a good human. Magneto is actually more of a good guy than Charles if you think about morality. Now, that's wild to say considering Magneto wants to kill all regular people that would be considered me. The fact that I'm siding with Magneto almost over Charles because Charles is such a bad human, like bad person. Ugh. Doctor Doom, I said this already. He's a dictator. He so there was a comic run. I forgot what it was called, but it was not a comic run, but there was a comic book where Doctor Doom stole the powers of the Molecule Man and became the ultimate dictator. He forced Sue Storm into a relationship with him, or mind controlled her to be in a relationship with her, and like it was bad. It was bad. Like, I mean, there was a cool handle where he ripped Thanos' skeleton out of his body, but yeah, Doctor Doom's a dictator, and he's just a terrible person. But he's one of the smartest people in Marvel Comics. I know Black Bolt's done some bad stuff, and Black Bolt's pretty smart. Now let's get into Namor. Namor is an abusive person. He abused Sue Storm, from what I remember, in the comics. And he blew up a planet. Yeah, there was an event where a bunch of planets were colliding. This was actually the event leading up to the event where Doctor Doom became God Emperor Doom, which is the Doom that ripped Thanos' skeleton out of his skin. But yeah, to keep the plan, the Illuminati, the amalgamation of all the terrible people, were trying to figure out a way to, stop these planets from colliding into their planet, because instead of, trying to figure out a way to merge the planets safely, they were like, let's preserve our lives and not care about the people on the other planets. And who was on the Illuminati? Black Bolt, Reed Richards, Iron Man, Charles Xavier, and Namor, and Captain America. But Captain America was not for these plans because Captain America is actually a good person and you're a good human. Hank Pym wasn't there, which is shocking. But yeah. So so they're trying to figure out these ways to stop them, and they're just sacrificing these planets for their own self-preservation. You know what Namor does? They instead of blowing up planets, I forgot what they did to a lot of these planets, but one of these panels sticks out. Namor blows up another planet with billions of people on it to preserve his own life and the lives of the people around him, because instead of finding another way, which is what heroes do, he blows up a planet. So yeah. And there's obviously a very good people who are uberly smart. Spider-Man being one, and Bruce Banner being another. I can't really think of many bad things Bruce Banner has done. Ultimate Bruce Banner, terrible human. But 616, aside from raging out and killing innocent people because of the Hulk, Bruce Banner, I can't really think of anything bad he's done. There's obviously bad things every character has done in comics. Spider-Man, Spider-Man's done some pretty messed up stuff, but for the most part, that's just my explanation of a lot of these things that these comic characters have done. And obviously, people will know better examples because they have the internet and they have more examples online. But those are just the examples I can think of right now. And there's probably way more uberly smart characters that I'm forgetting. So leave it in the comments. Tell me characters I'm forgetting. Tell me some incidents from the characters I've listed as terrible in the comments, please, because I really do need to remember. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed my whole expansion on my short, because I just didn't feel right about leaving it out without any examples. So yeah.